you gotta get weaker in order to get bigger, all right? Hear me out, it will make sense to you. I know it sounds counterproductive, you gotta get weaker to get bigger, but hear me out. If you're someone that's been going to the gym for over a year, your strength is going up, all right? You're throwing the hundreds around, but then you look in the mirror and then you don't see your chest improving. You don't see your arms, your shoulders, the muscle mass stays the same. You look in the mirror, the shirt, everything fits the same, but you're getting stronger at the gym. Well, it's time for you to stop and reevaluate, all right? I know it's fun, we all want to get stronger and bigger at the same time, but at a certain point, those are two different processes after surpassing the beginner gains. The beginner gains first year, yes, you're getting stronger, bigger, everything is going well, all right? The butterflies are flying, but then you realize that, hey, I'm plateauing at a certain point and you gotta choose a route, all right? Because your training will change depending on the route you choose and the way you approach your workouts, all right? The way that you're lifting the weight. If I'm benching for growing my chest or benching for powerlifting, everything will change. My time under tension, my tempo, my explosiveness, all right? The way I'm recruiting each muscle. So guys, I want you to listen very carefully, all right? When I started training over 10 years ago, I wanted to train like a powerlifter. I wanted to actually become a professional powerlifter. That was my goal. All right, I was benching. I did over 3 plates, deadlifting over 4 plates and a half. Anyways, squats over 4 plates. I was super strong, but then I got injured, and then I realized now I have no other choice but to use lightweight. All right, I started using lightweight because that's the only thing I could do without pain. So I started making a lightweight hard, which means more time under tension. All right, because now you just have 20 pounds, you gotta control its time under tension, all right, controlling the way down, the tempo, mind-muscle connection, so you connect with that muscle, because before I could just take 50s and it would exhaust me, but now, to be exhausted, I really wanna connect with that muscle, squeezing it, stretching it, the time under tension, the mind-muscle connection, and trust me guys, I started going like crazy, even though I wasn't lifting heavy weight anymore. I was mind blown. I'm like, whoa, with one plate, 135, my chest is growing more than I was doing, I don't know, 250 pounds. And then I'm like, well, it's a win-win. My risk of injury goes low and I'm growing bigger, more muscles, which at the end of the day, that was my ultimate goal, all right? Some people, their goal is just lifting heavy weight, but for me, just picking weight from A to B off the ground, that doesn't mean much to me, all right? That's personally, it doesn't mean much to me. I prefer growing bigger muscles and working my muscles instead of just going through a movement and working a movement. I prefer working the muscles. Like for example, your squat with 3 plates, you can go for a low bar squat and just basically pump reps and squeeze your glutes and use your lower back just to move the weight from A to B. But doing it with just 135 and controlling your quads and slowly going down, time under tension, only targeting your quads, doing it all with your quads, 20 reps. Have you tried squatting for 20 reps? Your quads will be burning. Yes, it does look more cool putting 4 plates on, but then I realized that the risk of injury was higher. My body wasn't necessarily made for lifting super heavy weight because I kept getting injured and I wasn't growing as much. So I started making the lightweight heavy. Make lightweight heavy. Take your time with the weight down, all right? Control it. Put your mind into it. Stop doing explosive reps. And that's how you'll start growing. So ask yourself, what is your goal? Do you want to get stronger? Do you want to get bigger? And train accordingly. And 99% of people actually don't really care about getting stronger, but they just want to get bigger. A lot of questions I get, hey, how did you get a bench like that? I'm like, well, you know what? I use lighter weight, I control the weight down, and I make sure that I'm getting my chest to failure with a good time under tension and a good mind-muscle connection, controlling the weight. People don't want to hear it because it kind of affects their ego. The other day I was training with a guy and he's like benching the 2 plate and he's barely going through the range of motion, just explosive pumping reps up. But I'm like, are you feeling your chest? No. How do you want your chest to grow? All you're moving is basically your joints. You're moving the weight from A to B. You're just thinking of moving the weight from A to B. I took the 1 plate, I controlled it, no momentum, pause, boom, squeeze, and my chest was on fire. And he's like, whoa, that's amazing, great chest. I'm like, well, that's how you gotta train, all right? We're not we're not powerlifters, we're trying to be bodybuilders. And you gotta understand that concept after you've done over a year of training, and you gotta take the route. Yes, it's fun to do strength stuff, and yes, sometimes it is beneficial. Every 3 months, I would do a couple weeks of strength workouts, all right? So I would do some sets of squats, bench, deadlift when I'm bulking, where I would go a little bit heavier to get my strength up a bit. But you cannot just keep growing on strength and keep growing muscles. It will not work that way, all right? Eventually, the stronger you get, yes, you'll get more bigger, but you will have to choose a route, all right? You will have to choose a route. Yes, I do get stronger with time, but now with the way I'm training now, there's no way I can bench 3 plates. But years ago, I could have done it because my way of training was different. All right, so ask yourself, what is your goal, and go about it. So that's it. It's good to cycle in also some strength, cycle in some hypertrophy, depending on your goal. But 90% of your workload has to be for a specific goal. So that's it for this video, guys. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys soon. Ciao.